Welcome to a new episode of Startup Mavericks, the good, the bad, and the lessons. And in this podcast, we interview early stage founders and coaches about a really specific topic to get insights about early stages of a startup, how to overcome everything that's happening in these early stages. And I'm today happy to host the founders of Impactful. Welcome to this podcast. Please quickly introduce yourself and the startup idea.
Hey, I'm Konrad. I'm one of the two founders of Impactful. We are working on this project together since August. And since January, we joined Berlin Startup School, and we're super happy to be here. And I'm working on the technical part and on the product. And Daniel is working on the business side, and he will explain what Impactful is doing.
Yes, thank you very much for having us. I'm Daniel, and we're Impactful, and we allow companies to align their business with either a social or ecological cause in a fully automated, transparent, and visible manner. So what does it mean? Every digital trigger can be used within our software, and a micro donation can be placed behind. So for each and every action, there can be a donation being transferred. And on the other hand, we give them tools at hand to make these engagements visible and transparent at the same time, as this is very crucial. So to sum it up, they can have a social and ecological impact, and on the other side, also an economical value out of our tool.
So that means if I'm buying, for example, a shirt, it triggers automatically a specific donation, for example, if I want to, or if somebody subscribes to the newsletter, I can do it, right? So that's the case. Yeah. And I can choose more or less how much money it is and where it goes.
Exactly. So it works like this. Some people know this already from e-commerce or online shopping. So you buy something and then something is donated, like a pair of shoes, and the pair of shoes is given to a charity. And what we're trying to do is, as Daniel already explained, create a technical solution that allows doing this, but not only when a payment is being made, like in e-commerce, but we can use with every event, like a newsletter subscription, and thus allow companies to really integrate creating impact into their product. And not only when there's money or payment involved, but literally everything.
And who came up with the idea? So
I've been developing products already since a couple of years. And I started this as a side business or just as an idea because I saw that companies start to plant trees for everything. And I thought, why isn't there an easy solution for this? And then when I was thinking about this more and more, I approached Daniel and we talked about it because we already knew each other from our time studying together. And then we came up with the idea to make this more broad and really think about what's important. Is it really trees, or can it be every social or ecological cause? And then we came up with the kind of two-sided marketplace with businesses and NGOs.
And how did you start out? And did you approach businesses, how they do their donations at the moment? So how did you find out whether there's actually a market or a demand for that?
So we tried pretty quickly to talk to potential customers. So more or less, I just pick up my phone and called plenty of companies, shops, e-commerce shops, or usual companies like mid-sizes. And I was asking them what kind of solution would be a fit for them, and if this something, the idea we had in mind, would be worth having a look for them. And so the first feedback we received was pretty positive, so we stayed on track.
Okay, so you just more or less researched who would be interested, and then you approached them. Did you call them? Did you write an email, LinkedIn? Like how did you approach it?
In the beginning, we were just approaching them. I did it via LinkedIn because it's easier to talk to people who also are decision makers. And then later, when Daniel joined, he focused on cold calling people, because so it turned more from a conversation, hey, let's talk about creating impact, to hey, we offer a solution, actually a solution which might help you to create impact and also profit from it by raising awareness and creating a marketing campaign.
And do you already have first paying customers?
Already, I think 5 customers on the platform. Yeah, and but not they are not paying like a monthly subscription yet. We also have like a pay-as-you-go tier, so we get compensated based on the donation volume each month. So that's how we kind of start to attract users, because it's a fairly new product. So people want to test it before they say, okay, I'm going to pay a certain amount fixed every month. But so far it looks good. And also the overarching trend we're looking at is that companies in Germany already donate a lot of money. It's like 10 billion euros a year. Oh, wow. And they do it for different reasons, for just to do something good, but also for employee branding or to create loyal customers. And we want to tap into this market and just like make it easier for companies to donate and do it more publicly, and also help small companies to also do something like this, because at the moment social impact is something, it's expensive for companies. So you need employees, you need people who know how to work with NGOs and do the number crunching, and we want to support also solopreneurs and small businesses with our product.
And amongst these 5 customers, what is the most common scenario that is being automized in terms of donation and the trigger at the same time?
So it's actually, most of them are e-commerce businesses. So again, talking about our go-to-market at the beginning, we knew that the market is to a certain degree developed and knows this buy one and give one principle in the e-commerce section. Generally speaking, we see our solution in almost every industry, but this is very common. So of course we spoke to many e-commerce shops and businesses, and yeah, that's why the majority of them, they sell organic t-shirts, they sell tea or garden accessories.
The product itself sounds also quite coding intensive, no, isn't it?
Yeah, so what we're choosing is a way where we develop our product using no-code tools or low-code tools, where the actual coding is abstracted to a visual level. So it's more like which tool is it? It's called Bubble.io. It's like the main framework we're using, and then we use other services for payment. We use Stripe, and then we have other microservices we tap into. And for us, it's a super cool way to develop, because we can develop super fast, and it's quite cheap for us because I know how to use these tools, so we can really build while we are selling. And this has proven to be the right approach for us, because there's no product we can scope and then build, but we really have to find out what the customers want, because there's no other product like that at the moment.
And Bubble, why Bubble and not any other tool?
So because I worked as a Bubble developer before, and I think it's one of the tools which gives the most flexibility, and also it works for small business idea, for landing pages, but also there's like enterprises building solutions with this, and so it's pretty stable, and that's why it's our tool of choice. If you only need like a database and less complex solutions, you can use other tools, maybe more out-of-the-box solutions. But with Bubble, you can build anything you can build using code.
So that means you don't necessarily have a IT department right now and can still do something which at least sounds a little bit more technically complex, right?
Well, I mean, I'm in the IT department. I think, like from my experience, you need to know how to develop apps using no-code, low-code. It's like you cannot use a big EV. I'm a developer, yes. I'm not like a computer science study developer, but I develop using these tools. And for this, you also need to understand and know how to work with databases. It's more like you cannot be a lawyer if you know the big EB. And you cannot develop a product without any experience. So these tools help you to be faster and quicker, and make it more easy to learn, definitely. But it's nothing you can pick up in 2 weeks.
Okay, but that's maybe important for the listeners. So Bubble.io seems then also to be a tool that helps you with no code, but still you should have a basic understanding, or at least time to get used to the tool. Is that correct?
Definitely. I mean, it's like it is actually coding just on an abstracted level. So I do this since a couple of years, and I've built like 20 plus applications, and I still every day I'm learning stuff and I have to figure out stuff, and I have to also do some coding on the side because sometimes you need some custom code to run things. But people should just know that often the best way is to pay someone to do it, only because everybody can open Photoshop. Not everybody is a designer, right? Or a photograph. And it's kind of the same. It's more accessible. You can learn it faster. But you still have to invest some time. Yeah.
And I'd like to add one thing. Speaking about our go-to-market and our customer approach at the beginning, we've never been too shy to show what we add. So of course our product has never been finished, and it's still not. But we just started with a basic choice, and
It's working. That's important.
exactly, it's working, and it was already super valuable for us to receive feedback on it.
We have a special section in this podcast that is called Either Or. So I will have here in front of me 5 different questions, or let's say options. And I would like to know from you guys which one you would choose. So I'm asking an either or question to one of you. And then please choose quickly one of them. Ready? Good. So Konrad, number 1, money or purpose?
Purpose. If you have a good purpose, money follows.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, exit scenario or lifelong startup spirit in that sense?
Lifelong startup spirit.
Mm-hmm. Konrad, would you stay long-term in Berlin or would you go back to your hometown?
I will probably not stay in Berlin long term, but I will also not go back to my hometown.
Okay, we'll discuss this in a second. Daniel, no code or code?
No code.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, planting a tree or donating money directly?
I mean, to plant a tree, you mean in my garden or via paying money?
As a donation.
As a donation. It's a hard question because money is the input, tree is the output, and the impact is where the tree is planted and who's affected by it, like what two people. So in this case, I would choose money and give it to a NGO which is super active and does the most with the money I provide.
Okay, thank you. Was there anything where you would disagree with your co-founder?
No.
Not really, no.
No? That's a good team. Interesting. Why is number 1 money or purpose? Konrad, you said purpose and then money will follow. I think it's so hard because sometimes it feels like it's the other way around. I think even today I was arguing with somebody on LinkedIn. What is the right way? Yeah? Should you start with money and then you can use this money for a good purpose, or what is the best way? I think you can argue a lot about that. Is this true that you don't want to have an exit scenario compared to your co-founder, Konrad?
It is true. I mean, if you build a business that is successful, and we are planning to build something which is not like huge. We want to have a small business which works, which is profitable, so there's no real reason why we would want to have an exit strategy, because we are not building a business where we think we have to scale and have customers in the whole world to be profitable.
You also said that long-term you would not stay in Berlin. So what is good about Berlin and why not staying here long-term? Yeah, or why did you give the answer? Yeah, not forever Berlin?
So I really like Berlin, but I've been here for 4 years. And sometimes I feel like it's time to leave and go somewhere where it's a little bit closer and a little bit smaller and also closer to nature. Because I learned that Berlin has so many opportunities, and I've never been to the opera, and I don't use any of these opportunities because I do the same things every day, which I could also do in a smaller city. Okay. So I probably just will go somewhere else, but no fixed plans yet.
So Daniel, what is good about Berlin when it comes to startups, especially? What would you say? And isn't it worth to stay long term? Is it maybe good for a start, and later on it's not that important anymore?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with this argument you just mentioned. So I think at the very first beginning, you meet a lot of founders here, right? Not just at Berlin Startup School, especially, of course, but there's so many network events out there where you can easily approach other founders, and you can meet investors, you can meet third-party suppliers, whatever. So the startup scenery here is quite huge and easy approachable.
So I guess somehow I would agree that Berlin has this kind of vibe that helps you to start, to kick it off. And like you're in our accelerator, for example, to then be around those people, to exchange, right? To have the first steps and touch points, and then maybe later on, when everything is going smoothly, right, on autopilot in the best case, then yeah, you can of course be everywhere in the world. And what I'm interested in, that was also connected to my first either-or question, money or purpose. Do you guys think it's possible these days to combine making money and doing good? Because we always look at those big NGOs, yeah, like WWF, I think it's called, right? This one, and Aktion Deutschland hilft. Like we have really, really big ones where everybody thinks, okay, you can live from donations, for example. Yeah. What is your opinion about that? Is it possible to combine both, or does one thing come first? Like Konrad said, maybe you start with purpose and then money comes next.
I think it's a mixture. There are great examples. Well, when we now talk about companies out there, examples like Ecosia, Patagonia,
search engine,
or Share, their social values is an integral part of their core values, and by focusing on their business, but also giving something back to society, they're very successful in what they're doing, and they build up brands there which are just incredible, right? And an inspiration, I also believe, for everyone else.
Yeah. Konrad, anything to add there?
If we have enough time, I can add a lot. I think also NGOs, I think it's definitely possible to be an NGO and to build a great NGO and create a lot of impact. And I think this is even true today more than ever before. And as I said, there's companies who donate a lot of money. And some people think that it's like a one-way relationship, like you as a company go to the market and the seller is an NGO and you give them money and nothing comes back in return. But I think the opposite is true, because what you get back is a feeling of doing something good and also a lot of attention. And this attention is needed to create loyal customers, to have employees who want to work for a company. So it is always an exchange. And in this scenario, NGOs are also businesses selling something to the companies. And this is kind of why we exist, because we enable NGOs to trade their impact and turn money into impact and into attention for companies who then profit from it. So they are more like a service for companies to turn money into positive attention and a purpose for themselves, and also for entrepreneurs and founders, because every founder wants to change something and make a little dent in the universe. And even if you have like a super boring and mundane product, by working with an NGO and make them create impact for you, you can have like a big impact on so many people. And that's why I think purpose can always also create money or value or profit for the NGOs themselves, or for businesses who are in between, like we are as a service provider for both sides.
Yeah, because you have chosen a normal company formation, not a social enterprise, right? Why?
Because we believe by having our social values and at the same time focusing on our business performance, we can contribute on maximum at the very end. And this is also what we want to encourage a lot of companies out there. You can you can be an inspiration for the people around yourself, and this contribution, will increase, and it'll lead to a bigger outcome for the good.
And also, we are not the ones creating the impact. We are helping companies to create impact, but the ones creating the impact is the NGOs. And for them, there's so many reasons why they are non-profits. And it's also, it's a clever way for companies to do good by working with non-profits, but we are in the middle. So donating money to us would be not the most efficient way to make us grow bigger and provide the best solutions. So that's why at the moment we are for profit, even though we are not profitable yet, and even though we want to also donate 20% of our revenue.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yes, and so we will see where it goes, and maybe one day we will say, okay, we find a way to turn this into a non-profit. But as is, that's where we are, and now we have to focus on the business side and trying to find customers, because NGOs always are there and they want to have money and they want to create impact, but we have to find enough companies who understand that in this equation they also profit a lot. And I think this is a trend which we see every day, and people really want to do good, and people want to consume good, and people want to work for good companies. So we truly believe that there's a market for our product, and I think we're on a good way.
I think so too, because it shows that you have already within a short time from your first customers, right? You are constantly building things, although it's never complete, right? So that's, I think, also a big and important message here, right? Get out there, build something, test it, get your first paying customers, and everything else you anyway never know, right? So we will see. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Ciao, ciao.